In this video, I will go over the assembly and disassembly of this Napier Backroadz truck tent, including a number of tips and tricks that might make a difference between your camping experience being excellent or quite miserable. So once you have the bed empty and ready for the tent, uh, it's time to bring the tent itself, which should be neatly rolled up in the bag. It really helps installing it when it's nice and neatly put away from the previous use. Lay it flat on the truck bed, and first part is kind of the most frustrating part of the installation. There are these three straps that go under and above the tailgate, and it's really easy to lose those buckles inside the tailgate itself. I've had that happen, and then you really can't get them out. So I have this little poking stick that I use to get those buckles through the little gap between the tailgate and the body of the truck, and it's a really small space to fit the buckle, and you have to sort of force it through a little bit. It helps to lift the tailgate a little bit. That creates a little bit of a bigger space between the tailgate and the body, and try to get those three buckles down through the little gap without forcing it, and if you need to force it a little bit, use a little stick like I'm using now. But before you force it through, make sure that it's lined up properly and that it's not going to get stuck somewhere in the body of the tailgate. So I started with the middle one, did the one on the side, and here's the third one. You can sort of see it there falling through the little gap. Now, the really important thing is get those as low as you can. Like, don't just leave them hanging up in the air. Push them down as far as they will go by sort of situating the part of the tent that's attached to those three straps all the way down to the tailgate, and that way these things will hang as low as possible, and you can actually see them sort of protruding where my exhaust pipe is there. You can actually see it hanging down. If it's not as low as possible, you'll get yourself really dirty trying to grab those from that location of the truck that might be oiled up and greasy and dirty, and so grab the bottom buckle. Now make sure once you stretch it, don't let it go. Just hold on to it really tight. If you let it go, which is what happened to me one time, it will spring back and get lost in somewhere in the body of the tailgate. No way to get it out. You have to cut it off basically and get a new one and sew it on. So attach those three straps. That's the first step, and that's probably the most frustrating part of the tent installation done. Okay, next thing is I'm just putting the sides of the tent just loosely over the sides of the bed. Just kind of just kind of adjusting things a little bit, just so that it's in the right location. Get those straps sort of hanging down. Don't let them go. So they don't damage your paint. And I'm actually attaching them to where they're supposed to go, like under the fenders of the truck. It's going to be more visible on this side here. So I'm on the other side now, doing the same thing as I just did on the other side. Just placing the tent loosely over the side of the bed, and starting with that strap, I am going to place it where it's supposed to go, to underneath the truck body, and sort of get hooked underneath. Same thing with the middle one. Just make sure that it's not too tight or too loose. If it's too loose, you can tighten it. If it's too tight, you can make it a little bit longer. So that's the third one, and we have all 6 straps sort of pre-attached to the truck. The one I just did, the first one all the way on the left, it's important to get it over sort of the edge of the bed for reasons I'll go over a little bit later. So now we start with the rods. There are 2 black ones, one green and one gray. I always start with the 2 black ones. Insert them into the little green pockets. Push it through and place it loosely on top of the side of the bed. Do it the same thing with the other black rod. It will go into the green pocket. No, I don't think it matters if this one goes under or over the other black rod that we just installed. Make sure if something gets stuck, just shake it and it will probably let go. Those little silver joints there between the black parts of the rod, they're the ones where usually the tent gets stuck. So if it does get stuck, that's where you need to look for the reason that it's stuck. Next one is the green rod that goes sort of through the center line of the tent. Just place it loosely for now. And the last one is this gray one with a little kind of weird shape. It's not a straight one, it's kind of a up, sort of igloo shaped once it gets installed. And that goes into the gray pockets that run sort of across the bed. Okay, so here I'm showing that I'm actually putting the green one under the gray rod, and there's probably a reason why I did that. Okay, so now we start inserting the rods into the little pockets. First one, you start with the green rod, and put it into the front pocket and the rear pocket, right? And now put those 2 little clips onto the green rod, the clips that are attached to the tent. Attach them to the green rod. If you don't do it now, you will not be able to do it later because it will be sort of really high up in the air and you won't be able to reach it, or at least I can't. Okay, so now we start with the black rods. Insert them on the side into the pocket on the side of the cab, which is the far side from looking from this angle, and then sort of wiggle the tent up and make sure that it doesn't get caught on those little silver joints, right? And then once it's all in, put it into this rear left pocket that I just did. Now I'm doing the front left pocket. Put the black rod into that pocket. Shake a little bit so it doesn't get stuck on those silver things, and wiggle it up until it gets the right shape, and it's possible to insert it into the pocket. If you can't insert it, chances are it's stuck someplace and it needs to be unstuck before you can insert it into the pocket. You need a little bit of force, but not that much force that you're going to break the rod. Okay, so now we got the green one in and the 2 black ones, and we will put in the gray one next. Now it's going to be a little bit easier to see on the other side, but there's this little tie rod between the tailgate and the body, and these gray rods have to go outside of that tie thing. Here you can see it. It kind of goes from my red taillight, that thing I just pointed at. So extend the pocket on the tent underneath that little tie rod thing, and put the gray rod on the outside of that tie rod. Okay, so and now it's time to go around, make sure nothing is stuck, things are centered. If anything is stuck, just loosen it up, shake the tent, make sure that it has the right shape. If anything's sort of lopsided, it probably needs to be adjusted. Okay, now we can hook the little plastic hooks from the tent onto the rods. And it's starting to get the right shape. Same thing on the other side. And now this little belt, it should be over the corner of the bed, so that if it rains, the water will not accumulate sort of behind the tent, right? So try to stretch the tent as far forward as possible. So now we go with the fly. Try to get it sort of oriented which way it goes. The Napier signs go on the left and right sides, and this little black or white letters on black tab saying Backroadz goes to the back where the tailgate is. Okay, start by putting in those two buckles closest to the cab, and there's 3 on each side. Only put 2 in. Don't put the 3rd one in, because it's going to make it hard to get the fly over the tent now. So not the 3rd one, just the first 2. Now this might take a few tries. Sort of crumple it up and throw it across. If the wind is helping you, it helps you. If it blows the other way, you might have to do it again. And now try to sort of pull the fly over the tent to the right position. So now you can see the Napier sign is on the sides, and I started attaching the fly straps to the little buckles. Again, keep making sure that nothing is stuck. See that the fly was stuck behind the gray rod, so pull it over so it's in the right position. I can still see it a little bit in the wrong position on the left, which hopefully I will fix in a second. There you go. Okay, so now it looks like it's the right, everything in the right location, right shape. Now go around, tighten the straps, make sure everything looks in the right position, and now the last thing is there are these little Velcro straps underneath the fly. I sometimes I don't attach those. I guess when it is kind of windy or rainy, it's good to attach them so it doesn't flap around, but usually I kind of forget to even attach those, so that's what I did. Then I roll up the little door or whatever with the bug screen. I roll it up so it's doesn't get damaged. Attach it with those 2 little button things, and now I'm using my broom, which is sort of like a multi-purpose tool, to straighten the inside of the tent so it's nice and straight. Well, here's the finished job. All seems to be assembled properly and sitting fine. Okay, so this is the disassembly part. So now when I go to put the tent away for the season, I close the door on the tent, not just the fly, because I want to have it nice and closed, and I close all the windows. If I plan to use the tent the next day, I just close the flies, and it's the bug net, and it's easier to get the air out of it like that. So in this case, I'm just leaving the bug net on. Start by taking the fly off. Don't forget those little Velcro things, which I think looks like I forgot. And you just random order, you can take the fly off. Again, sometimes the wind helps, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I like to roll things nice and neatly. It helps when you go to assemble it. It really helps to have things nice and neat. It also prevents things getting caught in the zipper. So I put the fly away. Now I unbuckle those little hooks that go on the rods, and I start taking the rods out. Start with the gray one, sort of opposite order from installing it, well, kind of. Start with the gray one, the two black ones, and now it's nice and flat. Take all the rods out of their little pockets. Okay, the green one, take the little hooks off and take it out of the pockets on either end, and start folding the rods. Again, it might get stuck on those little silver things between the little segments of the rod. Try not to pull on it. It might rip your tent. Make sure things are nice and loose. If they're not, just wiggle it and it will eventually come loose. And here's the last rod. Okay. And put them in the little pouch that's intended for them. So next thing is I'm taking off those little hooks that go underneath the body, and here's a really important thing. I take a little paper towel or napkin or whatever is handy, and I clean them off because I have underspray under my truck. There's dirt and grime, and if those are dirty, it will dirty up the tent, dirty up your hands, and it's just messy. So now these ones under the tailgate, again, when you unbuckle them, make sure you don't let them go. Let them go nice and slow. Don't just let them spring back because it will get stuck. All right, so I unbuckled those. The top ones, roll them back nicely, and now it's time to take these out, which is again a little frustrating because now they're stuck on the other side. So here comes my little pokey stick again. Lift up the tailgate, and don't just yank on it. If you yank on it, chances are it will get stuck. Here I was really lucky. It just comes right out. I think this third one is giving me a little bit of trouble. It's kind of stuck in the body there, and you have to put it in the right position, and then you pull on it. If you don't, and those things really like to find any little crevice they can find, and then they love to get stuck in it. So there we go. And again, I'm cleaning those off because I don't want to have that dirt and grime and oil in the tent. So then everything's unbuckled. So then I fold the tent sort of in 4 quarters, sort of. So the left side I fold over to the middle, the right side in the middle, and then once over. So now now it'll fit the bag. Now, an important thing that I always do when I start rolling this up, I turn it upside down from where I have it. It helps, one, it helps the air to get the air out, and two, it helps when you go to reinstall the tent on the truck, it's in the right position, which is what I showed sort of at the beginning of this video. When I'm unrolling it, it helps to have it to be packing it upside down, just like I'm doing now, and then it's easier to unroll. It's still some air left, so be a little patient. Get the air out, and it fits really nicely into the bag. I always put the tent first. And we want to make sure that none of the nylon sort of gets in contact with the zipper, because it's just going to rip it and make things kind of miserable. And now these little straps that at the end of the season I use them to wrap the tent when I'm putting it in the bag, but no need to do it since I'm camping the next day here. the little net that goes on the top of the tent, I put it on the side. The fly, I make sure that it's on the side of the bag, not anywhere near the zipper. Zip it up just a little bit just to keep things in. Next thing is the bag with the rods, which is a plastic bag, so the chances are it will not get caught in the zipper. And not to forget my little pokey stick. It's always zip it up. There we go, nice and tidy.